And my name is Dasha.
We're glad to see you guys. This is our first segment of the 4-part series Minsk. Now let's begin with the general overview of the city's history.
So, the year of Minsk foundation is still unknown, but we know that since its foundation, Minsk was located on the bank of river Manka, hence the name of the city. It was first mentioned in 1067 when it was burned down and relocated to the bank of river Nemiga, where Minsk became a fortified village. Then, in 1499, the city council was first put together and Minsk became a city. Here, you will see the coat of arms and Assumption of Mary is depicted on the coat of arms. It was given to Minsk in 1591, and during this period, Minsk was part of, and Minsk and the lands, Belarusian was a part of Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, the ruling classes of which were mostly the Catholics.
Yes, and what to know about the city? It was first mentioned in 1067. Later on, in 1499, it became a city when it was given its when it was granted the so-called Magdeburg rights, and in 1591 it was given this coat of arms, which you can see behind my back. And guys, I'd like to draw your attention to the point that the Assumption of Mary is a dogma only among the Catholic branch of Christianity, but this very coat of arms is depicted in Orthodox manner, which is quite unusual. So how could such a thing happen? It is a main feature of our people, the duality. Although ruling classes might be whether Catholic or Orthodox, but we absorbed every bit of every culture. That's why this coat of arms is sort of a mix-up of Catholics and Orthodox. But I'm going to talk about this dualism a little bit later. Now let's just switch places so that you have a good view of the Red Church.
So, this is the Red Church, the Church of Saint Helena and Simon. It was built in 1910 by Tomasz Paździerski, a German citizen, but due to Paździerski being a foreigner, Zygmunt Swiatycki had to be named as the architect of this church. And the construction was supervised by Edward Wojnowicz, and moreover, after his children, this church got its name.
Yes, the Red Church, because most Minskers call it actually the Red Church, not the Church of Saint Simon is Helena, was built in 1910, as Dasha mentioned, and during that time the totalitarian Orthodox-oriented Russian Empire reigned the country, and the regime was so tough that no foreigners were allowed to build anything or to occupy high positions in the country. The Jewish population was forced to compulsory resettlement to the places, to cities, to towns, and this is another proof of the point I'm trying to make here, the dualism. How could such a great building be constructed when the Orthodox were ruling? The point is that although ruling classes might be Catholic or Orthodox, and they might change each other, the society really needed, the Catholic society really needed this church, and they managed to bend all the restrictions and still erect it. So that's why now you can enjoy it. You have a question?
Yeah, so what you're saying is that the Catholic were forbidden to build any places of worship around the country?
Actually, all the foreigners were not allowed to build anything, as I said, and to occupy any positions. It was forbidden.
Let's see.
Now guys, we're going to see a most interesting monument called The Architect, which depicts somehow symbolically and laconically the whole history of Minsk. Let's go. Oh look! So, somebody has painted his toenails. That's funny. Oh, just step back please. Okay. This monument is dedicated to every man and woman who contributed to the city's distinctive image.
Yes, and here, clockwise, you can see this very Minsk fortress that we have mentioned before, and the year of its foundation is 1067. The Holy Spirit Cathedral, and we will show you it a bit later, and National Opera and Ballet Theatre. The year of its foundation is 1933, and I forgot about it, 1633, year of foundation.
Yes, and as for the fortress, unfortunately, guys, it hasn't survived, so you cannot see it. But now we're going to show you one of its descendants, called Castle. That's good.
This is Shadowski Castle, but you can see only the top part of the building, and it was built in 1825 during the period of Russian Empire, and actually fortifications have always been one of the main priorities among Belarusian people due to its geographical position, which is neutral between the east and the west. And those two ladies have not always been on speaking terms. Invasion of Crusaders, Tatar-Mongol raids, Polish-Soviet War, and 13-year war, a lot of wars. And these are just the main conflicts that the East and the West thrashed out on these lands. So that's why we had to build such tough building.
Yeah, it is pretty tough, isn't it? Okay, guys, and that is another proof of the point I'm trying to make here, this dualism. As Dasha said, Belarus was sort of a crossroads between the east and the west and the north and the south, and those guys constantly had something, some collisions between them. And we had to suffer these wars. At the same time, we adapted to it. We built these fortifications, but basically Belarusians are a friendly nation. They are a friendly nation. That's it. Now, you remember that fortress which we saw at the architect. Now we're going to show you the very place where it was situated, and tell you a little bit about the times of peace in Belarusian history. That's good. As Dasha mentioned, at first Minsk was situated on the bank of River Menka, after which it got its name. But after a devastating raid about 1067, it was relocated some 15 kilometers southwest to this point, to the bank of River Menka, to the bank of River Nemiga, sorry. But unfortunately you cannot see it because it was put into a manifold in 1926 in order to prevent it from drying out.
So yes, in 1067 the first Minsk fortress was built just here, on that place.
Under the bridge?
Yes. And Minsk became this fortress's satellite town, and Nemiga itself became the main street and trade path which led from Moscow to Warsaw and from Vilnius to Kiev.
Yeah, I have a question for you guys. What's the difference between a fortified village and a non-fortified one? Any ideas?
Could you repeat your question, please?
What is the difference between a fortified village and a non-fortified one?
Maybe it's safer.
Yes, right you are. It is safer. So when Minsk became a fortified village in 1067, this fact served sort of a means to its growth. And as Dasha said, different trade paths led from north to south and from east to west, and the town grew. And that's another evidence of this dualism. Belarusian people have always been open to new influences, to all the good influences. They absorbed every bit from one culture and from another, but at the same time we always remembered who we are, who Belarusians are. For me, Nemiga is associated with times of peace and quiet and prosperity.
So, sweetie dear, can I say something?
Sure.
Well, we have already shown you the one of the greatest Catholic Church of Minsk, and it would be unfair of us not to show you an Orthodox one. So we are going to show you the Holy Spirit Cathedral. Let's move on.
Okay, the Holy Spirit Cathedral was built in 1633. At first it belonged to the Franciscans, which are actually part of the Catholic branch of Christianity.
Yes, and in 1741 there was a fire, and Belarusian Greek Catholic Church, which is basically a mixture of the Orthodox and the Catholics, inherited this building.
And eventually the final part of its history was when again Russians came and they absorbed the VGCC, and thus the building became Orthodox. Actually its history speaks volumes, but it is another evidence of this dualism. The wars that spread on our territory were not only physical, they were sometimes economical, political and religious. And our people were so fed up with this constant struggle that they had to invent their own church, to have something of their own, to satisfy both sides and put an end to this constant struggle. Okay, this is probably it, guys. We hope that we'll see you later on our second part. It will be dedicated to the medieval history of Minsk. My name is Zhenya.
And my name is Dash, and it was really a pleasure to spend some time with you today. I hope you also enjoy it.
Yes, see you later.
See you later. Bye. Bye.
Yes, but we're moving, yes?
Yes.
are standing on the very manifold to which the river Nemiga was once put. And if you guys are going to remember anything from this excursion, just try to remember this. Naturally, being surrounded by powerful nations, we might have run a little thin, just like Nemiga.
But we never lost the track of who we are and our pagan roots, just considering that it's not the face of God that you prefer, but your actions that count.
This is Dasha.
And this is Eugene.
See you later.
Guys,
Bye.
goodbye.